Yo, that's a wrap. It was an amazing experience. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Hope we got some laughs, some good entertainment.
This is Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
Moody gets the ball to DiVincenzo. It's a 3-look, and Dante, he likes this building.
Well, he's looked good tonight, hasn't he?
Yeah, helped Villanova to a NCAA championship in this building. It looks like he never left.
Yeah, good night from Dante DiVincenzo. Good night for the Warriors all around as they beat the Spurs tonight in the Alamo Dome, 144-113. We welcome you inside. Warriors wrap up here on 95.7 The Game. John Dickinson with you. 888-957-9570. That is the phone number to give me a call or shoot me a text here on a rainy Friday night back in the Bay Area where the Warriors able to, in Texas, to beat the San Antonio Spurs by 31 to improve to 21-21 on the season. The first of the 5-game road trip in the books, and the Warriors 1-0, picking up just their 4th road win of the season as the Warriors improve to 4-16 now in 20 games away from Chase Center, and 4 games to go for the Dubs now on this road trip. 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. Looking at just some notes from this one, really just a workmanlike, professional, handle your business type performance from the Warriors after some embarrassing moments, frankly, in the game on Tuesday night against the Phoenix Suns. I've talked about it a lot. Go back to the game that these two teams played on November the 14th at Chase Center, and we talked about it on Warriors Live at 3:30 this afternoon here on 95.7 The Game. The Spurs have a horrible roster. They are actively tanking. I know they've been competitive in their last couple of games, but their roster tells you that they are tanking. And for the Warriors to come up short in a game like tonight, it frankly just would have been unacceptable given the goals and the aspirations of this team. So to see the Warriors get up 33-28 into the first quarter, then put 41 on San Antonio and their 30th ranked defense in terms of defensive rating, to go for 74 in the first half, and then to put up 70 in the second half. Quarters of 33, 41, 40. So back-to-back 40-point quarters for the Warriors in this one. 81 on the board in the middle chunk of this game for Golden State. And big nights for the bench. When you look at the Warriors bench outscoring San Antonio's bench 77-52, Spurs came in with one of the top benches in the NBA, and the Warriors typically are going to be a team that's highlighted by their starting unit. And you look at the 144, and for the Warriors on this night, 77 of the 144 goes to the bench. So that means 10 more points scored by the bench than the starters, and they were highlighted by Dante DiVincenzo, who knocked down 4 3-pointers, 22 points there. Jordan Poole with an efficient game for him. Didn't seem like he was chasing the three-point shot. Seemed like he was stuck on 3 in terms of three-pointers attempted for a good portion of this one. He ends up pacing the Warriors with 25, and you look up, and Poole and DiVincenzo combine for 47 points, 10 rebounds, and 11 assists. And you look at the Warriors with just 23 minutes for their starting backcourt in Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, which is important if you look at the back-to-backs that are upcoming for the Warriors, with a Sunday afternoon affair in Chicago and then another afternoon game to be played in Washington, D.C. on Monday before a couple of days off and staying over to visit the White House. And then the trip gets really difficult at the back end with Boston and Cleveland to close it out on another back-to-back next Thursday and Friday. So for the Warriors to be able to go in, handle business, lead by as many as 39, and just coast without really any drama now and on to the next before the now record crowd of 68,323 in the Alamo Dome tonight as the Spurs attempted in their 50th anniversary year to break the record. It's just an excellent, excellent performance for the Warriors. Now, the question then becomes, how much of this is sustainable? Because by far the easiest game in terms of opponent on this trip is the game that the Warriors just played against the San Antonio Spurs at their now 13-30 record as they take the loss in this one. So you look at it, and does it translate to Chicago on Sunday afternoon? Does it translate from, let's say, the horrible San Antonio squad that they faced tonight to the plain mediocre Chicago squads who have tended to play up to their opponent? The Bulls lost tonight at home to Oklahoma City, 19-24 now, losers of 3 in a row. But the Bulls have been a team that's played very well against the top end teams in the Eastern Conference and really horribly against everybody else to this point in the season. They're not even a play-in tournament in the East, and then right beneath them in the standings are the Wizards at 18-25. But you look at those two teams, 11-10 home, 11-9 home. Washington as well, they got beat tonight by the Knicks in Washington, D.C. So the Warriors, does tonight translate? Because tonight isn't going to be the story of this road trip for the Warriors. The story of the road trip is going to be, can this team figure out a way to win 3 out of the 5? And really, when you say, can they figure out a way to win 3 out of the 5, you're asking the question, can the Warriors play well enough to win the first 3? Because if this team wants to ultimately get to where they believe they can by the end of the regular season and on into the playoffs, they have to start winning on the road. And so tonight is a real positive first step. I think it was a real comfortable game for the second time this season in the meetings that these two teams have had against each other. And you tip your cap and you say, all right, move on to the next one for the Warriors. But at the same time, the next 2 games, I think, are going to tell us a hell of a lot more. Not that the Warriors didn't need tonight. They absolutely desperately needed tonight. Could not take this L, would have been catastrophic. 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. Kind of an up and down tale of two halves defensively. I thought the Warriors pretty poor for the most part defensively and giving up 60 in the first half. And you go back through the first half, and the Warriors were getting hit in the paint a little bit in the first half. Some defensive miscues, allowing a lot of layups and some miscommunications. But the bottom line tonight is we talked a lot about the fact that the Spurs coming into this game are the worst defensive team in the league and that the Warriors should be able to put up points with ease. So all in all, I think a really good night. A small step forward for Jordan Poole. I think a small step forward for the Warriors' new look rotation here as they get into the second half, where that Iguodala now on the nights where he's going to be available can play a role. I thought Iguodala was terrific tonight as a glue guy, as a defender, as a do a little bit of everything type of a player for the Warriors. They subbed him in quick for Kevon Looney and got Looney back out onto the floor essentially as the starting center and then the guy that would be able to come in for Draymond. You had Anthony Lamb out there at different points in time. And you just look up and down the bench, and really everybody off the Warriors bench tonight that played exceptionally well among the 10 that were able to get out there. Even Moses Moody back into the more truncated rotation here with other players out, and Ty Jerome inactive as they're trying to save some of the game, the game's limit as far as he goes, and preventing him from getting 50 when DiVincenzo and Poole are playing, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are playing. There really isn't a rotation slot for Ty Jerome, but with Kuminga still out and with Patrick Baldwin Jr. in the G League, the Warriors find themselves where they're going to need a few minutes on a night like tonight for Moses Moody, and Moses Moody was able to give him some quality minutes in his return to the rotation. So not a lot to quibble about for the Warriors in this one tonight, as they win it 144-113. 888-957-9570. Is this just kind of a ho-hum game for you? Price of admission, move on to the next? Or does this game give you confidence as a Warriors fan that they are starting to get back on track after stopping the 3-game losing streak and really 3 pretty bad losses at the back end of the homestand to Detroit, Orlando, and then a Phoenix Suns team that was just really depleted playing without 4 of their starters and playing with the back end of their entire roster. You look at this, and again, a lot to feel good about, at least for one night for the Golden State Warriors as they try to move on here and get to the eastern and Midwest and eastern part of this road trip with 4 games to go. Let's get to a couple of text messages on the Xfinity mobile text line here as we're looking at it. 510, first real beatdown the Warriors have had this season. Memphis was a beatdown, but the starters played a lot of minutes. This game, the starters got to take half the game off. I think that's especially important. Curry and Klay Thompson, 23 and 22 minutes. A little bit of a different rotation tonight for Steve Kerr as well, as Coach Kerr took Curry out a lot earlier than he had been. I wonder what the minutes restriction number was for Curry in this game. But he came out middle of the quarter, and the Warriors really just changed things up as far as how they split things up and got Iguodala into the game very quickly, as we mentioned. And I wondered at the time in the first half if the Warriors were potentially looking to try and maybe play some of the regulars less minutes on the early end of this road trip, knowing that the back-to-back is coming and it's a quicker turnaround game with the afternoon affair in Chicago on Sunday, and that the Warriors were going to have to try to almost offset that in advance by looking at a game like tonight and trying to spread the minutes around a little bit, where you want to get guys some run and get their wind up, especially the players that had been out in Steph Curry and Andrew Wiggins, but you also want to lean on them, not as, infrequently as you can for a game like tonight to try and be able to save some minutes. And I wonder if maybe that was part of a plan to prevent some of the regulars from having to take a full night off or a full afternoon off in the case of that Washington game on Monday, because the Warriors had taken so many bad losses in the first half that they really may not be able to go full-blown with the cautious approach as far as rest and playing time that they've put out there to this point this season, or that they've done in the past. I still doubt that Klay Thompson is going to find himself ever playing in back-to-backs this season. Maybe fewer minutes for the regulars in some of these games, though, prevent those full nights off and having to essentially give, Steph Curry can't play in both of these back-to-backs because you want to keep him fresh down the stretch. You could do that if you were sitting at a record at a higher clip, 25 and 15 or something like that, where you were already in the mix for the top of the conference. You could be more careful with that. To me, the Warriors at this point are not afforded that luxury. And so I just kind of wondered, and we'll see. Maybe part of it was a couple of days off. Maybe part of it was Steve Kerr trying to give some more opportunities against a Spurs team that he knew was going to be a less formidable opponent. And you look at San Antonio in the 2 games that they've played the Warriors this year. Warriors have thumped them twice now by an average of 34. You go back to November the 14th, 132-95 in San Francisco at Chase. You look at the game tonight, and the Warriors just blowing the doors off the thing again, winning by 31. It didn't feel in the second half as if the game was really even that close, but it ends up being a 31-point spread. Only one more meeting for these two teams this season, March the 31st, the final meeting between these two teams. It'll be at Chase Center. Only appearance for the Warriors in San Antonio this season was tonight, on the night where they break the all-time NBA attendance record at 68,323 playing in the Alamo Dome. But you look at that, and the Spurs getting their money's worth as far as filling that joint tonight, and the Warriors packing it in their lone appearance. But you got to think maybe the Warriors wish they're playing the Spurs 4 times this year instead of them being one of the 4 teams in the Western Conference that they only play 3 times so far this season. 888-957-9570. Is it the Spurs? I think it's a big part of it. Or are the Warriors finally starting to lock in a little bit? Again, I don't think we're going to know the answer to that question tonight, but the fact that there wasn't any drama, the fact that we weren't looking up at a game that was an 8 to 10 point game where it felt like one little run from San Antonio down the stretch could put the Warriors in a danger zone, as we've seen so many different times in so many of these road games against some of the Eastern Conference opponents that ultimately have beaten the Warriors in some of these games. So 888-957-9570 if you want to give me a call or shoot me a text. We'll go ahead and pause. We'll come back. We'll keep it rolling here till about 8:30. We'll hear from Steve Kerr and others from San Antonio. We'll get to more text messages as well as the Warriors win tonight in San Antonio, 144-113, and you heard it right here on 95.7 The Game.
Are you kidding me? Gas prices are up again? Somebody has to do something.
Well, someone did. That's why I use Upside.
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that pays you back real money for every gallon of gas or diesel you buy. I just earned 25 cents back on every gallon of this tank.
Hold on. So the Upside app is free and you actually get cash back every time you use it? No strings attached?
Yep, it's awesome. Check it out. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up.
Instead of just watching your dollars go into your tank, start putting money back into your wallet with the free app from Upside. With the price of gas today, it's big news and big money. To cash out of your Upside cash, just transfer it to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Upside users have already earned over $200 million. Now it's your turn. Download the free Upside app and get cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code GOLF for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's code GOLF. Use code GOLF for an extra 25 cents per gallon back in your first fill-up. Cashback's not available in gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Attend the largest sale of the year, the Mega RV Show and Sale at Cordelia RV Center, January 6th through the 16th. 10 plus acres of new and used RVs. Receive a $1,000 gas credit on all 2022 models. Cordelia RV Center in Fairfield. Free parking and admission.
Hi, I'm Aaron, owner of California Deluxe Windows. Ever notice? When your neighbors get new windows, there is a large black eye of broken stucco, uneven plaster, and even mismatched paint. At California Deluxe Windows, we never leave a ring around the window. Why? Because we are one of the only companies in California who custom crafts every window and door to your home's exact measurements. Almost everyone else on the radio is a distributor. They grab a window from a warehouse, break open your walls, shove it in, and patch things up. At California Deluxe Windows, we take pride in our work. Our installation technique is so precise, we do not break your stucco. Your house could be covered with potato chips, and we wouldn't crack one.
Call now, and for a limited time, you get 30% off your entire order and 24 months of interest-free financing. 800-874-3600. 800-874-3600. That's 800-874-3600. California Deluxe Windows. Windows engineered for life.
Certain terms and conditions apply. CSLB number 774518.
This winter, there are COVID-19 booster shots designed to help protect against recent Omicron variants. If it's been at least 2 months since your primary series or original booster, schedule your updated COVID-19 booster dose at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Make connections that count at Evergreen Valley College and get free tuition when you enroll for 6 units or more. That's right, free tuition and no student fees this spring. EVC is an award-winning transfer college and has the 4th most diverse faculty in the country. And with EVC alum earning more money than nearly every other community college in the country, you can take classes and transfer or fast-track your career. Enroll for classes today and get free tuition for the spring. Visit evc.edu for more information and enroll for classes at evc.edu. That's evc.edu.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. Don't forget about the environment when making New Year's resolutions. This year, resolve to recycle more. Recycle paper, bottles, and cans. Reuse paper and plastic bags, and get a reusable bag for groceries. Recycle old clothes by donating them to charity. And recycle old electronics like TVs, computers, and cell phones at appropriate e-waste facilities. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things for our planet. What's your one thing?
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So, what do you provide? Cookie-cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie-cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMC-FM and HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Looney getting ready to go in. The cutter. DiVincenzo flashes from the weak side down the lane and gets a two-hand slam. A little elevation sensation for DiVincenzo. It's 52-40 Warriors.
I guess the conference helped.
Yes, what a decisive cut that was.
Now back to Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game.
Two of Dante DiVincenzo's 22, a plus 20 on the night. Warriors win in San Antonio, 144-113. We welcome you back inside Warriors Wrap-Up here on 95.7 The Game. John Dickinson with you till about 8:30. 888-957-9570. 888-957-9570. That is the phone number to give me a call or shoot me a text as we react to this one. Warriors with the 31-point victory in the road trip opener at San Antonio. Games to follow in Chicago and Washington, also Boston and Cleveland before the Warriors are back home a week from Sunday. But they got business to handle on the road here first, and handling that business against a Spurs team now at 13-30, which I think is maybe the least talented. Actually, I don't think there is a maybe about it. I think they have the worst roster in the NBA. At this point in time, and the Warriors have to be able to go in and do exactly what they did tonight, fresh off of one of the more disappointing games of the 2022-23 season in the loss to Phoenix. Warriors offensively were on point all night. I thought second half defensively they were better than the first, helped them turn the game into a blowout, a 40-29 third quarter, and the Warriors had themselves a big lead at that point, go into the fourth quarter, 25-point lead. They would lead by as many as 39, go on to win it 144-113. The bench, the story of this one, as the Warriors outscore the San Antonio bench 77-52. The Warriors bench outscored the Warriors starters tonight 77-67, and part of that storyline is the fact that Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, ahead of the early game in Chicago, 12:30 tip on Sunday, they were able to play just 23 minutes apiece. So Steph going to be fresh for the upcoming back-to-back. Klay fresh for the game in Chicago, where he will likely play in that one. And then, if history has been any indicator, not play in the game in Washington, D.C. on Monday. But the Warriors able to get a good run in, offensively take advantage of a Spurs team that's just horrid defensively, and coast with very little drama or very little concern over whether the Warriors were going to be in a vulnerable position in this game, even when they were playing poorly defensively as they were throughout a good chunk of the first half. The lead was still in the 10 to 14-point range for the most part, although there were a couple of times where I thought, man, if this game really did turn into a close one, single digits or 5-6 point game at the half, you would think that the Warriors would have to work a little harder than you would want them to have to work in this game against the team with the roster of San Antonio. But nevertheless, the Warriors were able to keep the pressure on throughout the course of the game offensively, and that allowed the defense to just do enough in different moments against a mostly inept and, again, under-talented San Antonio squad to extend that lead into blowout-type territory and allow the Warriors to prevail in this one by 31. 888-957-9570. Phone number to give me a call or shoot me a text here. Let's go ahead and hear, though, from the head coach of the Dubs, Steve Kerr, as he addressed the media in the Alamo Dome following the victory.
30 assists through 3 quarters. I mean, how much does that sort of, create the offense end of the points?
Yeah, and I think 19 at the half. I think it was 19 and maybe 5 turnovers or something. It was a great first half offensively. They had, I think, 20 free throws, so that was what kept the Spurs in the game. They were coming downhill at us. We just made too many poor decisions defensively or too many reaches, and that's something we've got to continue to harp and improve on. They shot 34 for the game, and so we'll keep working at that. But yeah, we were able to put it together for some stretches tonight, and it was good to see the guys play well.
You thought of Andre? I think he played like a 3-man. What you thought?
Andre's, he looks great. He's so smart. He's so long and athletic and versatile defensively. And then just, another passer, playmaker on offense. So he's, he just, whatever lineup he's out there with, he makes better. And so, knock on wood, hopefully he continues to stay healthy, and, we'll make sure we give him the appropriate rest to keep his body right going forward. Tonight was tough because we had several guys out. I didn't really want to play Looney the last 5-6 minutes, but didn't have much choice. So it was a good night for Andre. He played really well.
Been inserting early as his rotation pattern. Why?
Right now he's our third big. And so I don't know that will continue to be the rotation pattern, but we like to have either Loon or Draymond on the floor at all times. So Andre's coming in for Loon early, so he's our playing the 4 with Draymond at the 5, and then Loon comes back for Draymond, and Andre stays at in that lineup and plays with Loon. So it's It seems to work well that way, where he can pair with either one of those guys.
You guys had 8 players who scored at least 12 points tonight. How important was it to have such a complete team went from top to bottom to start the road trip?
Yeah, so, a fun game. You get out and score. A lot of guys played well. I thought Dante was fantastic. He's got some pretty good memories from this building, sitting in the same locker that he sat in for Villanova all those years ago. But he was really good, just aggressive all over the floor, and the ball was moving, and it's a great way to start out the road trip. And we know it's going to get tougher, but hopefully we can build on this.
Coach, I got to cover Anthony Lamb last year in the G League. I'd like to know about how he stood up on a big stage tonight, and overall his contribution to the team since coming here.
Yeah, I love Anthony. He's a really good modern day NBA player. He might have been a tweener 20 years ago, and now he's a versatile kind of jack of all trades. And, someone who shoots it well, who embraces, defense and guarding difficult covers, boxes out, runs the floor, has a really high basketball IQ. So we're lucky to have Anthony. He's given us great minutes all year.
Talked about Andre coming in early. That gives you that small lineup with him, Draymond. How much do you still like that group?
Yeah, I mean, those guys have played together for so long. So when you put them out there together, there's a familiarity and continuity. And Andre, like I said, he ties any lineup together. But when there's a small lineup with a lot of shooters, that's when he becomes especially effective, because he can attack and there's space in the lane, and he's got shooters on the perimeter to find. So I thought Andre was really good.
In the third quarter, Jordan had the pass to Anthony to the corner. Seemed to really like the pass there. Just kind of wanted to ask about that play and Jordan's play overall.
Yeah, I mean, our whole game is about ball movement and sharing the ball, throwing it ahead. So we're constantly trying to get our guys to understand the importance of ball movement, running to the corners in transition to give us space. And so I like that particular play. But, ball movement leads to a lot of people being happy. And if they're happy, they're going to play better defense and they're going to rebound. And the locker room is more fun. So I think passing leads to a lot of that.
Coach Pop said after the game that these type of losses for the Spurs make them a lot stronger and motivate them to become better playing against teams like yours. And they do have a lot of ball movement as well. And they like sharing the ball. Can you comment on how you think the Spurs played overall?
Well, it wasn't their best night, obviously. I mean, we've watched them the last few games, and they played Memphis and Boston really tight. They're a hard team to play because they come downhill at you really fast and they attack. And so we had a tough time, guarding their penetration, and they were attacking closeouts and drawing fouls. And but they didn't get their 3-point game going. We were able to at least do a decent job defensively despite the fouls, and offensively, when we make 18 threes, we're pretty tough to beat. So we took a lot from the Spurs. When I got here, a lot of what we did was based on how the Spurs had played, so it's a compliment to hear Pop say that.
How beneficial is the minute totals for staff, really all of your main guys, staff play?
Yes, that was great. It was, we got Wiggs back in the fourth quarter purposely to get his minutes up to continue to build his wind. But, it's a good way to start the road trip. And, we've got a back-to-back coming up and a couple of them, I think, on this trip. So that was important to keep the minutes down.
What do you think of Moody?
Moses did a really good job. I love Moses. He's such a great young guy. He works so hard. He wants this so badly. His playing time has been sporadic this year. It just because of the emergence of Lamb and Ty Jerome and combinations and things that I've looked at. And Moses, he doesn't ever stop working. He's a real pro, very mature for a young guy. And I think he's got a great career ahead. Partly because he's a good player, and partly because he's just a guy who gets it. Like, he's going to keep working until he breaks through and really establishes himself. So he's a great guy to have on our team.
Mentioned the following: patient and understanding, even if the Spurs are coming downhill, or are you getting frustrated and exasperated the fact that keeps coming?
The fouling. Yeah, I mean, it seems like we have pockets of games where we do a lot better, and then we kind of revert back to that. So it is a problem. It's, we were a minus 14 on free throw attempts tonight. We're one of the worst in the league. I think minus, 7 or so in that category. Raymond will have it. So that's tough to win, when your opponent's going to the line a lot more than you are. So we played really well tonight, so it wasn't really a factor in the end, but it's something we have to do better with overall.
Yeah, didn't bite them tonight, but has bitten them in other games and could bite them in the future. And Spurs did get to the free throw line 34 times tonight, knocked down 73%, 25-16, an advantage for San Antonio there. Really the only advantage, though, that the Spurs had on the night in this one, as there were times San Antonio not even looking for three-pointers, only attempting 22, making 8 of the 22. And you look at some of the things that were talked about on Warriors Live before the game. Can the Warriors handle themselves in the paint? And yes, they did allow the Spurs to get to the free throw line as much as we just mentioned, the 34 attempts. But you look at points in the paint, Warriors put a 70 on San Antonio, and the Spurs defense has just been a sieve this year. And so the Warriors able to take advantage of that. And San Antonio's had pretty good bench production overall. Sometimes if there isn't much of a talent disparity between your starters and bench, and often that happens on teams with under-talented rosters, that you get a couple guys that like to fill it up a little bit off the bench, and you can all of a sudden be a pretty bad team that has a pretty good bench. but the Warriors did not allow the San Antonio bench to really be a factor in this game as well, as the Warriors had the 77 bench points to 52 for the Spurs in this one. And yeah, you look at 61 points for the starters. The starters were 67-61 in favor of the Warriors, but it was a 77-52 lead as far as the bench went, and really behind Jordan Poole's 25 and Dante DiVincenzo's 22. Anthony Lamb, nice game for him. When he's knocking down threes, he can be a factor, hustling to get to the boards with 5 rebounds in this one. And how about what Steve Kerr said about Andre Iguodala? Essentially right now being the third big for the Warriors because they are so depleted right now. And you look at the rotation, and yeah, Iguodala comes in for Looney, and that means Looney's going to come in for Draymond, and it's almost a 3-man rotation. Anthony Lamb was out there at different points playing basically the 4, but he's more of a shooting 4 and not really a big for this team. And we talked about the fact that with no Ty Jerome, Moses Moody gets opportunity to play some wing minutes, and Moses Moody was effective. And tonight was a kind of game where in the regular rotation, because Andrew Wiggins had played so little and because of the blowout and the way that the Warriors bench had been able to play in this one, they felt the need to get Wiggins back in the game down the stretch there to allow him to get another run, because he's somebody that when healthy, you're not worried about Andrew Wiggins playing a lot of minutes. In fact, he's somebody that is going to be in the 34 to 36, 37 minute range if need be in some of the bigger games. But coming off of the adductor and then the illness, which really prolonged his time off for the Warriors and away from the roster, it was a situation where Wiggins, you want to try to build him back up to where he doesn't hit a little bit of a wall fatigue-wise. And it looked like in the game against Phoenix, like in the second half, he was really starting to find himself as far as knocking some of the rust off. You want to continue that to be the case. His offensive game at times tonight out of whack. The three-point shot really hasn't found himself. He hasn't found it yet as far as that goes. 2 of 8 tonight. But again, it's just kind of hammer away, and then eventually I think the flow will come back for somebody like Andrew Wiggins, and the Warriors are going to need it here because these games on this road trip are going to get more difficult. And the Chicago game and the Washington game, you look at those 2 games, and I think they're pretty even in terms of opponent. I think you could make the case that the Washington game being the second of a back-to-back and one that you're probably going to play without Klay Thompson, you could make the case that does become more of a difficult game. But we're going to talk about this on Sunday and our special edition of Warriors This Week. Myself and Whitey Gleason, we're going to be on the air at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning with tip-off of the Bulls and the Warriors set for 12:30 Pacific here, 2:30 Central Time. And so one of the stories, though, of the Chicago Bulls season has been they've played up to the level of their competition, in particular at home. So you know that, and the Warriors are used to this, you're going to get a better effort from the Bulls just based on the fact that you're an upper echelon type brand in the NBA. And you look at the Bulls here over the course of the recent times. I'm going back through the most recent victories. The Bulls have lost their last 2 games to the Thunder at home tonight and Washington. Then you go back farther. They beat Utah. They beat Philly in Philly. They beat Brooklyn. They beat Milwaukee. They've beaten Miami. They won at New York. Now, in between all of these, there's home losses to Minnesota in there. There's they beat Dallas at home. Like they have beaten Boston a couple of times. You go back, they beat Milwaukee a couple of times. Like they've beaten Brooklyn multiple times. So yeah, between Miami and Brooklyn, a lot of those teams, some of those high-end teams in the West, at least the high-brand teams in the East rather, and they've been able to win. But then you look at some of their other games, losing to Oklahoma City, a couple of times, losing to San Antonio in San Antonio, going back to October. They've been a play up and also play down to the level of their competition team. So the Warriors are going to have to go in there and really try to handle business in that game in a big time way, and find a way to get that win, and then work their way to Washington D.C. against a Wizards team that's talented but loose. And again, right now would not be even a play-in tournament team. Neither one of those teams would be even a play-in tournament team in the Eastern Conference. So 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570, 510 here on the Xfinity Mobile text line. If Lamb can start playing defense, he will earn the final roster spot. If one of the two-way guys are converted, can they bring up another one? Short answer to the last part of that, yes. If you do convert, for example, Anthony Lamb into the 15th roster spot, you can then sign another two-way player because you are allowed to have up to two-way players at any point on your roster. So the Warriors could, at that point, look to sign another two-way player. But, yeah, I don't even necessarily think it's about the defense, although that will help. To me, it's more, is there a better option available to the Warriors on the buyout market that can provide a little bit of what Anthony Lamb provides and maybe do it with a little more physicality, or maybe do it from a little bit more of the position of being a big. Like, I still feel like Lamb, he's a stretch four for the Warriors, but the rebounding isn't always there. The physicality isn't always there. Think Otto Porter. He's kind of Otto Porter without the intangibles, if that makes sense. And so I think, he's somebody that if the shooting is there, but the other stuff isn't necessarily there. But I do think he's got a shot to win that 15th roster spot, but I think it's maybe going to be more him versus somebody off the roster, as opposed to just him being able to solidify it by playing better defense. All right, final couple of minutes here before we call it a night. Let's go ahead and hear from Draymond Green as he addressed the media, talking about everything going on in this Warriors win and the win in front of 68,323 in San Antonio.
It was a great experience. Kind of felt like playing in the Final Four all over again. So it was definitely a cool experience. Glad that we could be a part of it.
What do you think of the offensive effort?
Oh, it was really good. The ball moved. We didn't turn the ball over, which I thought was very important. It just allowed us to really get into a flow. I think, it could have been even better if we didn't foul as much, So the fact that we were able to put 144 points up and, it wasn't an offensive explosion by any one player in particular, I think, that so good for us to have a game like this.
Andre played 3 games now and they're kind of slotting him in unique roles. The third game, well, you guys have 2 bucks. What have you seen?
He's playing well. He's moving well. Obviously, always one of the smartest guys, if not the smartest guy on the floor. So, it always makes it easier, on the floor when you have the chance to play with Andre. So, thought it was really good, and tonight, but also these last 3 games that he's been back. It's just good to have him back out there and getting in the flow.
Big guy. How big is that to start the road trip special?
It was very big. It's good to start this road trip with a win, but also, to get everybody feeling good and confident. It's great for us to start a road trip that way.
You talked about anger probably from the way you played it tonight. Jeff talked yesterday about embracing the embarrassment of the road record to try to fix it. When you guys are angry or embarrassed, does it lead to playing like you did tonight to kind of get back to what you do best, moving the ball?
Being angry or embarrassed allows you to lock in as long as you're channeling it the right way. And, I think tonight we did, but when we play our brand of basketball, we're tough. And, it's always been that way. And so, like I said, it was good for us to just come out and have a night like we did tonight. Because it's been a while since we had a night like that.
How would you describe the feel like a college and say the tournament, Final Four? How different did it feel?
It definitely felt like a Final Four game. The atmosphere was great. I mean, even with us playing the way we did and the score being the way it was, they were still loud. They were still into the game, enjoying every second of it. So, it was absolute great atmosphere to be a part of. And, you don't get these opportunities often. So happy, we were the opposing team that was able to have this opportunity, set an attendance record for an NBA game. It's, when you can be on the right side of those things is always great.
You kind of voiced the other day a little bit of concern about overuse of especially front foot is. Can you kind of share that concern and just how much you do have to kind of hold the fort?
No, share the concern. That's what I train for. You train to be able to give a team whatever the team needs. And so if that's, added minutes as it's been the last month or so, then that's what it is. But no, I don't really share in that concern. I do understand his concern, though. And, when you got essentially two guys holding down the 5 spot, it can get rough at times, but I'm not concerned about it. It is what it is.
Yeah, and the Warriors have taken so many L's at different points this year where they really can't get cute with the minutes and the rest. And, they've needed Draymond Green to play as hard as he's had to play here over these last couple of weeks to just be able to earn any kind of wins. And to go 5-3 on the homestand, they've needed that extremely high level. So I think when you look at it, the Warriors are just going to have to hope that it later on down the line, it doesn't ultimately cost them. But right now, they don't have a choice. And, nice tone setter, I think, for the Warriors in this game against San Antonio. But the next 2 games, for me, are going to tell the story of this entire trip. Put Boston and Cleveland off to the side. We'll see in a couple of days where the Warriors are at there. But, you look at right now the fact that, this team has to get a couple of wins, if not 3, on this road trip to show some semblance of the fact that they've turned the tide a little bit. So on to the next and on to Chicago is exactly what it looks like. All right, that'll do it for tonight. I'll be back with you on Sunday, 9 a.m. for Warriors This Week, with the 49er game being tomorrow. We're going to flip Warriors This Week to Sunday, and Whitey Gleason will join me for that, and Whitey Gleason will join me for Warriors Live as well, which will come up at 11:30. Tip between the Dubs and the Bulls at 12:30, and then we'll have Warriors wrap-up for you after that one as well. And I'll be on before and after the game on Monday as the Dubs take on the Wizards, Game 3 of that trip. So, Fox Sports Radio is coming your way next. Keep it here on 95.7 The Game tomorrow for all your 49ers coverage as the playoffs begin, and we'll talk to you Sunday. Warriors win it tonight, 144-113, and you heard it right here on 95.7 The Game.
And fast delivery. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Every small business owner knows business happens everywhere. The office, the warehouse, or on the road. And no matter where it takes you, there's one solution to help your business thrive. Comcast Business Complete Connectivity. It's the largest, fastest, reliable network with advanced gig speed Wi-Fi and cyber threat protection in one solution. Get started for just $49.99 a month. Plus,